Everything that has ever happened to you in your life has happened to you for a reason. There is things that have happened to help to teach you lessons. Now you can sit there and blame. Well, but this thing happened and this, and you can't say that when I was a child that happened to me to teach me this, and that just doesn't. No. That's their fault. They did that to me, and now stop. That's playing victim. And until you can stop playing victim and say you are 100% at cause, you're going to keep playing that victim, and you're going to keep being stuck in your life, and you're not going to move forward. That stuff is in the past. It stays in the past. That's where it needs to stay. It made you who you are today. And who are you today? If you don't like parts of you today, well, you're pointing your finger at those things and saying, well, that's made me the way I am right now. Okay. Then change that. Change that story. Okay, yeah, maybe some shitty things happened to you. Maybe you weren't treated the greatest. Maybe you had something traumatic happen to you. You can keep holding on to that victim story of whatever happened in the past, or you can say, okay, what can I learn from that? Yeah, that thing was shitty. That person was shitty. Whatever you want to say. But you need to learn and move on from that and grow up, I guess, if you will. I'm sorry if I'm being harsh. But I've had to teach this to myself, that I am at cause. I went around pointing the finger and kept saying, yeah, but I'm this way because they keep doing this to me. They're treating me this way, and now I'm feeling this. Well, okay, you have a right to feel those things. But do you want to keep blaming them for that and saying, well, they're the reason I am this way? Yeah, they did something crappy, but you're choosing to react, which can be a normal reaction, sadness, anger, whatever it is you want to feel because of those things that have happened. But move on and let go of those things, because that's not serving you in any way. Because I've seen those people that are always playing victim, and they are stuck, so stuck. They just will not move forward, and they're using that as their crutch. And the more you can let that stuff go, the more you're realizing, why was I even holding on to that? Okay, let's just say something really crappy happened to you and your child. Let's just say your parents were like the worst parents ever. Or you didn't even have parents. You got adopted. You got put in foster care. Whatever it happens to be. I mean, that could be crappy. Your parents weren't around. You can't blame them for that. But what can you learn from it? What can make you stronger from what you experienced? You can use that and say, okay, because they were that way, I want to make sure I'm not that way. I'm going to make sure I'm treating people with more respect. I'm not abandoning people. Whatever it is that you're feeling, quit playing the victim and try to see what you can learn from it. And you often hear about these motivational stories. I mean, people like Oprah or whatever, you know, they had this horrible childhood, came from nothing, and they've used their story to help them do good in the world, to grow, to strive, to motivate. Use your story as something to learn from or help other people to move forward instead of being the victim. I mean, you're being the victim, and while you're being the victim, you're bringing other people down around you. Have you ever been around those people that just like to complain all the time? Oh, this didn't happen, and I just can't do this, and that person's so rude, and I'm never gonna make any. You don't like to be around them, do you? Just check on yourself sometimes and make sure you're not doing that. Now, it's okay to do that. It's okay. It's all human. It's part of our process. But there's some people that are just always like that. They're not giving out good energy. They're not advancing the world. They're not advancing themselves. They're not advancing you. Yeah, you can try to give them advice, but sometimes they're so stuck in that victimhood that they're just not going to be moving forward because they can't see past all their baggage. So, yeah, you can't really help other people a lot. Like if you're a coach or something like that, that's kind of what you do. You're trying to help people move past that victimhood or whatever. But you yourself sometimes can't see your own victimhood. And this is something that I've been reflecting on a lot lately. So anytime anything bothers me, I try to figure out why. Now, it's fine to get bothered. You know, you see somebody treating somebody badly, or somebody treated you pretty shitty. It's like, okay, you have a right to be angry or upset. You don't have to shove those emotions down. But if something's just triggering you, you know, and think about it. Sometimes you look back and you're like, oh man, I really overreacted to that situation. And if you can reflect back, sometimes in the moment you just react how you react, that's fine. But go back and reflect and be like, oh, yeah, why did I get so freaking angry? Yeah, I had a right to be angry, but man, I really got angry. Why? Because it could have been just something very simple. You know, your husband didn't pick up your son from soccer practice, and now you had to go, and dinner's late and all this stuff, and you would have been like, why did you don't do anything. You got in some big argument over, okay, a simple mistake. He forgot. He might have had a busy day, whatever. You could have just been like, oh, good grief, because it is kind of inconvenience. You know, dinner's late now and all this other stuff. Because of that, you had to go do it yourself. So you have a right to be angry or upset, but were you overly angry? And if you were overly angry, then be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, because I just feel like he's not dependable and he doesn't love me, or all these different things that could be coming up in your head. Those are things you need to reflect on. You could have these programs running in your head that cause you to react certain ways. So this is a little off tangent, but not really. So again, you are 100%, I don't like to use the word blame, because blame, I actually have done a lot of work lately, and I found a limiting belief inside of me that I blame myself for allowing these things to happen. And blaming yourself isn't good. If you do blame yourself, learn on forgiving yourself. But you're always blaming other people for things that are happening. And you need to take the blame. Like I said, I don't like to use the word blame. That's why I said at the beginning, at cause. You are at cause. Because blame is kind of a harsh word. But you are at cause. And until you can realize you are at cause, because you are reacting to the situation. The whole thing with the dad not picking up son at soccer practice, that could have blown up into some big, huge thing. And you could say, well, he's a cause because he didn't pick up our son. Okay, yeah, there is a little blame that can be done with that. But the heated way you felt, you were at cause for that. And it could have turned into some other something that happened, and you are at cause. It's more about being at cause for how you are reacting and how you're behaving. It's your actions, your reactions, your behavior. That's what you are at cause for. Now, you know, you could say, well, I'm at cause because I caused somebody to do this and I caused somebody to do that, because there's other people that do the other victim thing. Instead of like, oh, these things happened to me and they caused me to feel this way and they've caused me to behave this way. No, they didn't. You chose to behave that way. It's okay to feel this way, but don't hang on to it and blame them. Just let it go and move on, learn your lessons. But there's the other people that also are like, well, I caused them to be that way and I caused them to do that. And you feel like you're causing things around you to happen. No, you're not causing somebody to react or overreact or whatever. Because, yeah, you know, I mean, they have their baggage too. And they're choosing to react the way they react. Now, if you're purposely kind of poking at somebody, like, you know, like you did with your brothers and sisters, you're poking at them, well, yeah, you did cause them to behave that way, but they could have just been like, you could have been like, you know, that thing you do where you just like, quit touching me, quit touching me, quit touching me, whatever you do when you're a kid, you know, and the person that's getting poked could have just been like, could you please stop? You know, that's just really annoying. Okay. Or they could have been like, and then they hit you, you know, whatever happens, you know, and you can be like, well, you caused me to behave that way. You caused me to do that. Or you could feel like, oh, I caused them because I was poking them. It goes both ways, but that whatever's being done to that person, they're choosing. Like the brother or sister could choose to, or they could choose to be like, okay, whatever, you don't annoy me. And the more you can realize you're at cause for everything that's going on in your life, the more you can kind of find where a lot of your issues lie. a lot of your healing journey, emotional, physical, because a lot of your physical ailments have an underlying emotional cause. I would say a majority of it probably does, if not all. So a lot of that is behind emotions. And the more you become aware of your thoughts and your actions and your reactions, the more you can start to shift those and become a better person and not react so much. And the more you become aware of them, you're like, oh, I am really stupid. I shouldn't be reacting to that. That was just dumb. Oh, that's just because, and sometimes you don't have to know why, but sometimes when you're in the process of figuring out the why, you're like, oh, that is really just kind of dumb. I need to kind of stop doing that. And you make a new habit of just being better. You don't react so much, or you treat people with more respect or more compassion. And you're like, this is stupid. Why I'm getting this stuff in my life because this is what I'm putting forth. If you're constantly playing victim, you're going to keep getting those things that are like reconfirming that you're a victim. But if you're letting go of that stuff and you're just like, yeah, I'm not going to let that stuff bother me, then things are going to flow easier in your life. So bottom line, just reflect on things that are going on in your life, things you're struggling with inside, and see where you are at cause. And if you don't feel you are at cause, just try to understand why you don't feel you're at cause. And ask yourself, am I at cause? And if you keep saying no, then say, am I at cause? Am I at cause? And if your mind starts to wander and be like, no, I'm not, because they did this and they did, yeah, if they did, but then that's where you start going, wait a second, I'm blaming. Okay, wait. Okay, am I at cause? Well, I did choose to be that way. Okay, well, I am holding on to it. Okay, you can start to see things a little bit differently. So start looking at things in your life when you start overreacting or blowing up or anything like that, and figure out, are you at cause? Ask yourself, am I at cause? Am I at cause? Yes, I am to blame. I don't like to use that word, but sometimes I use that word on myself. Okay, yes. That is kind of my fault. And it's not like he said, she said, oh, you were right, oh, you were wrong. It's not that kind of stuff. It's a lot of just processing your emotions and recognizing your baggage more. And this is, there's a process I do with clients called a breakthrough session. And at not the very beginning, but close to the beginning of the process, because it was a very long process. At the beginning of the process, we need to find out if these people are at cause. And we say, are you at cause? And if they don't feel they're at cause, we have to make sure they're at cause. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to let go of their baggage. If they don't feel they're at cause, they're not going to be able to let this go, because they're still holding on to, well, yeah, this happened to me. This person's to blame. This instance is to blame. So until I can let that go, I can't let all this baggage go. But they can say, yeah, that thing did happen. I guess I am kind of at cause. Okay, yeah, I guess I can let that go. But if you feel it's somebody else's job to let it go, you're not going to be able to let it go. And so you can easily move forward more in your life by focusing on, like, okay, why am I feeling that way? Why am I reacting that way? So just a little tidbit of information for you to hopefully help you on your journey. Love you.